In our very first story, a 13-year-old boy has been shot dead at Alavanyo in the Volta region. The shooting is the latest in the series of attacks fueled by a land dispute between Alavanyo and Nkonya dating back over 100 years. It is unclear who might have committed the crime and the motive, but police in the area has commenced investigations. Assembly member for Alavanyo, Choko Raymond, joins me via telephone with details. Good evening to you, Mr. Raymond. Hello, Mr. Raymond.
Hello, sir.
All right. When and how did the incident happen?
This happened about 3:30 p.m. this evening in one of the communities in Alavanyo, electoral area. The name of the community is me. The incident happened on a 30-year-old boy who is a junior high one student. The boy and the mother were in the room when the boy got out from the room. An assailant shot the boy, and immediately the boy fell and died instantly. This also happened this evening in Alavanyo Demi. The assailant entered the house of the boy, the deceased. There was a fence wall in the whole building, but he passed through the gate and some jumped over the wall and entered the house.
So are you saying that there was more than one assailant?
Pardon me? There were more than one. There were many.
About how many?
Nobody saw them, but the number of bullets you heard, the gunshot you heard, and the number of bullets that hit the wall, and the time, some of the bullets they used is 12, which is a very big gun, and they use rifle bullets too.
No, okay, so does it mean that they were intending to kill more than one person?
Hello?
Does it mean they were intending to kill more than one person?
Yeah, but there were only two in the house. The mother and the boy were in the house before the kid. So the moment the mother heard the gun, she could not get out from the room. So only the boy was killed. And another boy too was passing by. He was hurt, but as for his, was not seriously, but he sent the deceased and the boy to the Pandu Magrimakwat Hospital this evening.
Right, so let me get some clarity on that. You're saying that apart from the 13-year-old boy who was killed, another was injured.
Another boy who was injured by the thigh. But this was not serious. But he was sent to the Pandu Government Hospital.
What has been the involvement of the police in all of this?
They took the deceased and the injured boy to the what is happening.
All right, thank you very much, Mr. Choko Raymond. He is the Assembly member for Alavanyo. Moving on to other stories, the Gushaho Midwifery School has recalled back to campus the final year pregnant woman who was driven out of the examination hall because of her pregnancy. The decision to allow Cecilia Wuni to return to write her final exam follows a Joy News report on the episode, which the Nurses and Midwifery Council says was illegal. On the Super Morning Show Thursday, the registrar of the council, Felix Nyante, said they would intervene to ensure the lady writes a supplementary paper.
We have met principals on various fora and various occasions, and we have told them that there is no law, even in our constitution, that bars students from writing the licensing exam. In fact, if you read Article 12, subsection 1 and 2 of the 1992 Constitution, it is clearly written that we should not prevent anybody to write any exams because the person is pregnant. Pregnancy is not a criminal offense. So whenever we get wind of such things, we come in to intervene. So maybe for the way forward, what we can do is that immediately I'm going to meet with my management. But the proposal on my mind now is the lady or the student concerned will be asked to write supplementary paper. That one, we will instruct the principal to do that.
Well, it seems that intervention has worked. Thursday afternoon, Cecilia Awuni was called to the school to meet the counseling team. We told her to report on Friday morning to take part in the ongoing examination. She tells my colleague Manasseh Azura Awuni what ensued at the meeting.
They invited me to the school that they want to take me through counseling. So I should go back and be in uniform and come. So I went back to the house, wore my uniform and came back to the school. So in the office, they sat down and they said, whatever has happened, they were going by the school rules and regulations in the previous year. But now that the rules and regulation is taking different dimensions, they are telling me to come back to the school and write with my colleagues tomorrow. So I shouldn't take it into consideration that the school may maltreat me or they will sabotage me in one way or the other. They are not going to do that. They will treat me like the other students. So if I have any problem concerning my studies or concerning my health, I'm free to come to any of the tutors and ask for help, and they are willing to help me. So I shouldn't put it in my mind that because this case has gone out of the media, they are going to maltreat me or they are going to mark my papers down in case I write any exam in the school.
You have already missed 2 papers.
Yes.
Did they talk about those ones too?
Yes, please. They told me that they will see the various subject matters for them to set different questions for me to prepare and come and write. And for the tomorrow's paper, they are telling me that I should join my colleagues and write tomorrow's paper so that it will remain with 2 papers.
Now, her lawyers had indicated they would sue the school, but will that change now that the school has rescinded its decision? Joining us for more is human rights lawyer Francis Javier Sosu, who is also representing Cecilia Awuni. Good evening to you, Mr. Sosu, and thank you for your time. Now, the school authorities have recalled your client to write her papers. Is your client satisfied with that?
Absolutely. She is happy about the decision, and she's preparing to write the exams tomorrow. And we would want to thank the school authority and then all those who have been involved to make sure that she gets the opportunity to rewrite her papers that she even could not write as a result of the discrimination. But I must add quickly that because my client was nearly a victim of this matter, which was the same case sometime last year, we have instructions that beyond what has happened to our client being called back, we will still be able to push the matter forward such that we can have a permanent judicial decision that will settle this issue, so that regardless of the level of education that you find yourself in, no female would be discriminated against on the basis of pregnancy, particularly when it comes to writing of examinations.
Now, earlier you were indicating that you intend to also push for some compensation for your client. Are you still going to insist on that?
Well, with the turn of events, it's not something we're going to consider, because the reason really for that compensation was to get the school to pay for that wrongful decision. So if they have taken steps to recall her and rescind their decision, I think that, to err is human and to forgive is divine. It's not something we are going to push forward. Our next agenda is just to make sure that it would never again happen in the history of Ghana that a female will be discriminated against on the basis of pregnancy.
All right, thank you very much. Francis Javier Susu, he is a lawyer for Cecilia Awone, the final year pregnant woman who was driving out of the examination hall because of her pregnancy. Now, the Gushegu Midwifery School has recalled her back to the campus to write that paper. Now, the debate on who takes over the next Chief Justice continues unabated. It is clear the race is among three top justices of the Apex Court, Justices Enin Yeboah, Jones Doche, and Sophia Akufu, who has now emerged as a front-runner. Private legal practitioner Martin Pebu believes a Justice Jones Doche-led judiciary is most likely to be one that will lead to reforms in Ghana's criminal justice system, for which reason he is rooting for him.
I mean, we've said it in other fora. Definitely, all the names that have come up, okay, they are all qualified, okay, but there is one that I have seen publicly advocating for change in criminal justice reforms, okay, and so for me, I'll go with him, because at least out of the lot, when I follow their judgments and the rest, is the one I've seen as being foremost in terms of advocating for criminal justice reforms, and that's a candidate I would go with.
Would that be fair if I ask you to give me the name?
Oh, I mean, I don't mind looking at it to be Justice Jones Doche. Yeah.
Because you think he's been advocating for criminal justice reforms, and that's a good thing that we should see going.
Yes, because you see, Ghana, we've neglected criminal justice reforms for too long. Too long. So for me, because he's shown such, yes, it's not to say the others haven't done that much, but what I'm saying is that he's been more vocal, okay, yes. So because he leads the pack in terms of advocating for it, I'll go with him.
And you are convinced he possesses all the other necessary traits?
Exactly. As I said, all of them are qualified. So I'm looking at the one who is advocating what I'm also looking at. Good.
We're still watching the Joy News Prime. Still to come, MPP National Council directs all officers of the party dabbling as government appointees to choose between keeping the executive portfolios or ministerial appointments. Welcome back to Joy News Prime. Now, the governing New Patriotic Party has directed all national executives of the party who dabble as ministers to either abdicate the party office or the ministerial positions to allow for efficient functioning of government. According to the acting general secretary, the party has observed with grave concern how government's performance has been stalled in some cases due to the conflicting roles the ministers with party portfolio had to perform. John Boydu spoke with Joy News' Raymond Akwa.
Council took a decision that party work is full-time work, ministerial work is full-time work. So party officers who have been acknowledged by the president and offered ministerial position should take a decision. Either you remain as a party official or continue to remain as a minister. So you won't have a situation where you have a party official being an official of the party and continue to be a minister. So that far-reaching decision was taken.
Forgive me, but is there a reason why it was only left to that portfolio of a ministerial position? How about certain boards, the CEOs of companies and stuff like that, whether or not as equally important and engaging like that of a minister?
Not like that of a minister. Their roles most often is not far-reaching. If you take top board or top CEO, for instance, his role is limited to a limited constituency. But if you take that of a minister, it is for the whole nation, and it affects his party position, and sometimes it makes it difficult to differentiate between whether this activity is a party activity or not. Because the moment you choose him or you appoint him as a minister, you will give him free vehicle, fuel, and all that. If he's going for his party activity, is he going to go with party car or something? It makes it very difficult for us to do that and creates all kinds of problems. And they are not able to concentrate on their ministerial work, and party activity suffers.
The MPP has meanwhile rejected suggestions the sanctions it imposed for the spat between the gender minister and the Northern Region Party chair don't go far enough. The two were reprimanded by the MPP's National Council on Wednesday for trading abuses and asked to apologize whilst being bonded to be of good behavior. But the sanctions have been described as not far-reaching enough. The party's acting general secretary, however, disagrees. John Boydu tells Joy News the party would have taken a tougher stance, but for the fact that the two expressed remorse for their conduct, which he says has been damaging for the NPP.
For you, as an adult, joining a party or a society, for you to be reprimanded in the open, for you to be told in the face that your action and your utterances is disapproved by organizations that you join, for you to be asked to go further and write a statement apologizing to your organization, apologizing to the Ghanaian people, and be bonded to be of good behavior. I don't think that it's even akin to just being told to leave the party. Really? I hope you understand the
point, but
repercussion of this.
But they have not been sacked from government. They have not been sacked from the party.
I'm saying that you've been bonded to be of good behavior. You understand? Yes. It's all, you see, in taking decisions of such nature, it depends on the attitude of the offender. Okay. You understand? If they had been at the meeting and arguing their way out and insisting that they are right and all that, the decision would have been different.
Beyond having to reprimand them, do you think that this has actually done irreparable damage to the NPP as a political entity, as one with a history?
It is. Other than that, we wouldn't have wasted so much time in even discussing it. As such an august body like the National Council. Those unfortunate utterances that occurred bled all these important achievements of the president. You understand? So it has done a damage to the party, and we disapprove of it.
In a related development, a lecturer at the University of Education, Winneba Ahmed Jinapor, says the recent feud between the gender minister and the Northern Region chair of the party boils down to power play. Speaking on the AM show Thursday morning, Dr. Jinapor said the two have wasted everybody's time and by extension stalled government work.
I think this whole brawl between Otiko and Bugrinabu has just been a waste of time for the good people of this country. I mean, it's unnecessary. It was very unnecessary. Look, they've had a lot of bashing. They've come up publicly to apologize. I mean, I'll take their word for it and give them the benefit of that for them to more or less not to conduct themselves the way they conducted themselves again in future. That is it. Apart from, I don't see anything that comes out of it. It's just been a waste of people's time. It really did not show and demonstrate a sense of maturity on the part of both of them. So I don't think anybody who has followed these two individuals was one way or the other surprised about their behavior.
Are you speaking from a personal experience?
No, I mean, and I'll give you a typical example. So, I mean, if you look at the temperament and public utterances of these two individuals, they are the type that they never will give up to a fight. If you quite remember, Bugrinabu, when they did the election, he said that there were a number of people who voted for Alan Tremate and he was looking for them. If you remember. That,
you mean based on his public utterance?
No, and his behavior. He said he was looking for them. And he even went further to say that, look, they wanted Northern Region to give Nanado 100%, but they were beaten by what? Upper West, because some few individuals voted for Alan Tremate. So he wanted them out. I see him as my father, but he's an autocrat. That's the fact. You can't run away from it. A national women organizer who happens to be a minister of state, who goes in and organizes a meeting, and she believes that by virtue of her ranking in the party, she doesn't need approval from the regional chairperson. So it boils down to power play. Who is more powerful? That's what it is.
She even said the Kumasi Metropolitan Assembly is set to owe over 120 million cedis as at the end of last year. More than half of the amount represents outstanding payments to waste management firms, while judgment debts are set to constitute 50 million Ghana cedis. Chief Executive Osei Sibe Entry says between October and December last year, the Assembly's debt stock rose from 6 million cedis to over 50 million cedis. The revelations were contained in a sessional address to members earlier Thursday.
I have in my possession a summary report of KMA's financial liabilities as at 31st December 2016, which at that time stand at 119,213,333 cedis 22 pesos accumulated over years. The details are as follows. Common fund contractors and suppliers, 321,550 cedis. IGF suppliers, 3,599,717 cedis. Waste management service providers, 63,833,626 cedis. Judgment debt creditors, 50,602,874 cedis.
Mr. Sibenchi says the Assembly will have to strengthen its revenue collection efforts to defray the debt accrued over the years.
Out of these funding streams, the only one that we have control over in terms of generation capacity, but for which we are ironically relenting, is that of the IGF. For the rest of the funds, we receive our share according to the size of the cake from the central government, and depending also on when such monies are released. Incidentally, these itemized funds are earmarked for specific projects and programs and cannot be diverted for other use. We must therefore get our act together to generate as much revenue internally as possible if we are indeed to fulfill our vision and mission by bringing more development to our people.
Well, some Assembly members say the KMA will have to find means of dealing with the accrued debt.
Some of the debtors are needed to be talked to, have a plan, a payment plan. I'm talking about payment plan put in place so that maybe through a very well and good negotiations, you will be able to overcome all these challenges.
Again, with our liabilities, because if you are a chief executive and you don't want to use the structures, that's the resource that you get. So I'm not surprised that today we have such a huge liability as an assembly, but we hope with the help of the new chief executive and the support of all the assembly members, we will be able to overcome it.
Now, in a separate development, city authorities in Kumasi have dismissed reports making the rounds that a Chinese woman recently arrested for her role in illegal mining operations in the country was a guest at the confirmation of the new city mayor, Osei Sibe-Enchi. Pictures purported to be those of Aisha Wang, also known as Aisha, supposedly at the ceremony, have gone viral on social media. The Kumasi Metropolitan Assembly, however, says the said photos are not that of the Galamsey kingpin, but rather the chief executive of the Africa-China Investment Group, Ki Ying. The Assembly, in a statement, explained she was in the company of Dr. Nanache Bafo, principal consultant of the group. Godwin Okumanyame speaks for the KMA.
It's come to the attention of the Kumasi Metropolitan Assembly that this is in the social media, and the Assembly wants to categorically deny all allegations made in the media that Asia Hong, alias Aisha, popularly known as Yasantua, the Chinese lady who the media described as powerful and connected to some top security personnel and then some government official who was arrested recently for her involvement in the Galamsey activities in the Ashanti region, was at the swearing-in ceremony and induction of the Kumasi Metropolitan Assembly Chief Executive. That is Honorable Osei Sibe-Enchi. And what the Assembly is saying is that the allegation is misrepresentation and has no basis. This is basically because the woman who was there wasn't Aisha, but rather Ki Ying, who is the CEO of Africa-China Investment Group. And that lady came there in the company of Nana Chei Bafo, the principal consultant to the Africa-Chinese Investment Group. So if you look at it carefully, people are just mistaking KU to be Aisha. And that is why the Kumasi Metropolitan Assembly has come out categorically to deny it, that Aisha wasn't at the swearing-in ceremony of the Metropolitan Chief Executive. I think the pictures are here. It is very clear for all of us to see the difference here. This is Aisha. We have Aisha, Asiahon, and then we have the Kiwi. So we can see very clear that these are two different ladies that we're talking about.
So in effect, what you want to state is that the current mayor has no ties with the popular Aisha we are talking about.
No, the current mayor has nothing to do with Aisha at all. And what he's saying is that so far as the fighting against Galamsey is concerned, he supports it, and that he will never do anything contrary to government directive. That is, he will make sure that he supports the government of his government, which is being led by Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, the president, in fighting Galamsey. So obviously he has nothing to do with Aisha.
Now, still to come in the bulletin, Council for Scientific and Industrial Research suspends trials on GMO coating after withdrawal of funding by agric biotech firm Monsanto. We have business coming up right after this break. Stay tuned.
Hello, good evening, and time for business. Now, Minister for Lands and Natural Resources John Peter Amewu has ruled out any arbitrary review of the agreements government has had with big mining companies. The agreements grant tax reliefs to mining firms in a bid to encourage investments in the sector. During his vetting, Mr. Amewu indicated plans to review the agreement when he assumed office to maximize the economic benefits of the country's mineral resources. He now explains to Joy Business this would only happen at the end of each agreement.
Of the mining companies' stability agreement will be coming to an end, and I know definitely when that comes to an end, they will be coming back for a review, and that is where the discussion is going to progress.
So which time period are we looking at for the end?
It depends. I know, for instance, Anglo Gold Ashanti, that one is coming to an end by 2018 or so, in the next 2 years or so. Some has about 5 years yet to go. So when those agreements, terminate, some 3 years, we will begin to look at the review.
So it's not going to happen anytime soon after all?
2 years from now, it's not.
The indication you gave was that once you assume office, that's where
No, that was no indication. You don't forget, some of this have already been reviewed. The Akila Pasoy's committee has done the review already.
You knew this when you made the announcement that you were going to consider reviewing it.
Well, consider reviewing those that will come to an end. When the new stability agreement ends, you need to look at the review. That was exactly what I meant.
That's not what came out.
Well, but that is what I meant. So I'm happy you're understanding clearly what I meant.
Put it in context, because the Chamber of Mines welcomed it, except that they said that once you're going to do it, in the context of
it, it's not going to be done unilaterally. It's not something that I walked into my office and say, bring all your stability agreement for review. No, not at all. They will come to an end. Akila Pasoy's committee has reviewed some. Some of the companies even are demanding for more stabilizations in their clauses. So these are things we can look at, collectively. It's not anything we can do, with a unilateral decision. Not at all.
Now, Deputy Trade Minister Carlos Ahinkra is urging local companies to go beyond satisfying the Ghanaian market and also attempt at exploring opportunities that abound on the export market. He was speaking with the media after touring Eden Tree Ghana in Tema, a local company which processes and packages fresh fruit and vegetables.
Eden Tree is one of the leading medium-scale companies in the country that processes, packages, and supplies fresh vegetables. The tour by the Deputy Minister of Trade, Carlos Ahinkra, was to get insight into the operations of the company, understand its challenges, and assess its prospects. In an interview after the tour, Mr. Ahinkra applauded the company for its compliance with standards. He encouraged local patronage of the products and challenged the company to explore opportunities in the export sector.
If we have a company such as this one here, I don't see any reason why hoteliers or or large companies that are into catering should go out there and import tomatoes and onions and so on and so forth. The health measures that they have taken to come up with this such production would take them anywhere in this world and they will be accepted. Whilst we're about it, I'd like to also advise them that while looking at the domestic market, they should also consider improving towards the export market, because of course, obviously, there's going to come a time whereby they will be overwhelmed with this produce, and the infrastructure that we have within our nation will not be able to pick everything up.
Meanwhile, co-founder of Eden Tree Ghana, Alfred Benson, says several measures, including soft loans, have been extended to outgrowers to help feed the factory. The company currently produces less than 30% of its capacity. According to him, the company will employ more hands once it is operating at full capacity.
Our problem is that we are producing below par. So we want to use this medium to encourage the young people on the streets. They haven't got jobs today. Everybody's rushing to Accra. We're looking at a certain situation where you finish school, let's say Mampo. Will help you set up a farm. You don't need to come to Accra and come and walk the streets of Accra. See, we also have to conscientize people. And I think Ghana is so rich when it comes to the soil that we can produce anything to full capacity. So, like, we just finished this factory last year. This is the first year of operation. So we are targeting that. We are facing things out. And I'm telling you, I can assure you, maybe in 2 years' time when you come here, you'll be surprised at the capacity of things out there. So it's a drive.
In 2010, Eden Tree launched a 50,000 Ghana cedi revolving fund for outgrower farmers in deprived and underprivileged communities in parts of Tema and Accra.
Now, insurance practitioners are advocating tailor-made insurance curricula to be introduced in the country's basic and second cycle educational institutions. Acting Managing Director of State Insurance Company, Faris Atriki, says it is critical to addressing low insurance penetration to boost the national economy. He was speaking at the sidelines of the opening of a branch in Kumasi. Prince Apia reports.
Mr. Faris Atriki says a good foundation in insurance knowledge for children in their formative years will be a good start to changing misconceptions about the industry. Ghana's insurance penetration is presently less than 2%, which experts attribute to poor education and lack of understanding of insurance. Mr. Atriki, who spoke at the opening of SIC's new branch at Kintikonu in Kumasi, called for national action to reverse the trend.
The approach should be multifaceted, and if we really want to go deep into it, probably we even have to consider insurance education at maybe secondary school level. But for we as industry players, there's a little more that we need to do. With all due respect, even at the court level, judicial level, you find that even justices even lack the appropriate level of insurance education. So the National Insurance Commission could come in, organize training programs. The NIC can really lead this objective and help in bringing the insurance penetration from the very, very low level that it is to the level that it deserves, in order that even the whole country, the economy, can benefit from the significance of insurance.
Mr. Atriki stressed the need for insurance service providers to extend their operations to local communities through expansion.
Clearly, we need to carry the service to the market. We need to talk to the people to be able to understand the benefit of insurance, and we must live our talk by the work. We should be able to prove that insurance is important by paying claims and paying them promptly. We should avoid frustrating our claimants when the time comes. So it looks like we are interested in collecting money, and when it comes to claims, so you see all these things, the problem is multiple, and the solution too must be what? Multiple. You see that it is not just the lack of education, but then lack of closeness. Insurance should be in the market. Insurance should be closer to the people. When you go to Europe, you could do insurance by various means. So we feel motivated that we should carry insurance physically to the people who buy insurance. And this is what underlines our growth strategy.
For Joy Business, Prince Apia reporting.
The Ghana Stock Exchange says it is worried telecoms giant MTN will not end up listing on the market after an initial public offering. MTN is currently working to give out about 35% of the business to Ghanaians. This is part of requirements for the 4G license it secured recently. However, MTN has secured approval to go ahead with the offer without listing on the local bears. Managing Director of the exchange, Kofi Yamoa, tells Joy Business we're looking forward to MTN coming onto the exchange because of its impact on the capital markets.
The last discussions we had with them is that we know that they will be doing a public offer, but we also know that that public offer will not lead to a listing on the exchange. In other words, there will be a public company out there which is not listed, very similar to the likes of NIB and so forth. So that is the situation.
Are you worried about that? That we would have all wished that such a big company coming onto the market and its implications on the stock exchange as well.
Yes,
they are not coming onto the market. Are you worried?
Yes, I wouldn't use the word worry, but I would have wished that for such an entity, it sets the benchmark high in terms of being a public listed company. And that so doing will create the opportunity for or lesson for other companies, knowing very well that currently this market hasn't got any telco on it and so forth. And so my wish is that if they don't do it now, then it's something that they should consider doing in the near term.
Yeah, government has talked about some of the companies in the energy sector working on them to come onto the market. What about that one as also? We are hearing of some banks as well. Have they also communicated their intention to come onto the market?
No, we also know that some banks are considering, but we've not had official communication in this. In terms of the procedure, usually the first approach is to the advisors.
And that's all in business on the news tonight. Many thanks for watching. For more business news, log on to mindjoyonline.com/business. My name is Emmanuel Abuaji Riafe. There's more ahead. Don't go away.
Welcome back to Joine's Prime. The Council for Scientific and Industrial Research, CSIR, has suspended trials on GMO cotton in the country after U.S. firm Monsanto withdrew funding. Monsanto, the world's leading GMO seeds producer, is facing challenges in Burkina Faso after that country rejected GMO cotton and began a phased withdrawal of the novel product so farmers return to growing conventional seeds. The trials form part of regulatory requirements before they can be commercialized in Ghana. The development means there will be no GMO cotton for farmers anytime soon. Joseph Opoku-Gakpo has more.
The GMO cotton, known as BT cotton, has been engineered to naturally resist attacks by the bollworm insects and other pests. The trials began in 2012. It was supposed to last for about 6 years before the GMO cotton can get to the market. Work froze in 2016, but a principal investigator on the project, Dr. Emmanuel Chamba, tells Joy News it's now been officially suspended.
After the 2 years of the on-station confined field trial, the next step was to go to the farmers' field, after which we'll be thinking of release. Unfortunately, because of the situation in Burkina Faso, Monsanto pulled out from Burkina Faso, and because Monsanto was funding the program, they stopped it. Well, they suspended it in Ghana also.
So now that it's stalled, what impact is that having on farmers generally?
At the moment, they are going back to the conventional variety, where they have to be spraying several times. Nobody wants to spray so many times. But because we have not been able to conclude the experiment, they cannot grow that variety.
GMO cotton was made available to farmers in Burkina Faso in 2010, and by 2013, 70% of all cotton grown in that country was GMO. But concerns arose that fiber produced from the GMO cotton was bad compared to conventional. This drew protests from the cotton companies, resulting in a decision in 2015 for a phased withdrawal of GMO cotton. The cotton companies accused Monsanto of deceit and made a formal request demanding $100 million in compensation. Edwin Bafour of Food Sovereignty Ghana believes this is a lesson for Ghana not to adopt the technology.
I think that the Burkina case shows clearly that some of the expected outcomes that are marketed to people, that are promised the farmers, don't actually realize. And this is part of the red flag that we have been waving for a while. And it can't be closer to home that the outcomes of genetically modified engineering are unknown in the long term.
But plant breeder with Burkina Faso's National Research Institute, Dr. Edgar Traore, insists the technology did not fail his people. He says work is ongoing to correct the errors and get the GMO cotton back on the market.
The technology is still good, but the technology met a technical problem that has also a solution. Even the association, which was behind the decision to go back to the conventional, they are still waiting for better variety with more longer fiber so that they can go again with the technology. And farmers are also requesting for the technology.
Former Deputy Agric Minister Dr. Ahmed Al-Hassan Yakubu says Ghana cannot isolate itself from the use of GMOs, as it is the technology driving agriculture now.
It is a science for the present and also the future. And Ghana cannot afford to miss the boat at all.
Dr. Chamba of the CSIL tells Joy News they are not giving up. He says they are looking for fresh donor support to resume the trials in Ghana for the benefit of farmers.
If we can get money from any other place that will help us to finish the trials, well, we'll welcome it.
Minister of Environment, Science, Technology and Innovation, Professor Kwabena Frimpong Boateng, says his ministry and other stakeholders are working assiduously on how Ghana can adopt technological means to put the waste it generates to good use. Speaking on the sidelines of the launch of the 2017 Innovation Prize for Africa on the theme Investing in Homegrown Innovation, Professor Frimpong Boateng said Ghanaians are not putting their waste to good use.
The Biogas Association of Ghana, it's a group of people who are converting feces and other biodegradable organic material into biogas and compost. A lot of things are happening. In the NGO scene, if you go to Tema, Ashaman, you will find a group called Safisana who are processing about 30 tons of waste every day into energy, biogas, that powers a generator feeding 2.2 megawatts of power into the national grid with compost as byproduct. So a lot of things are happening. And so, again, these are exciting times, and I want you to visit some of these people and see what they are doing. The energy, waste to energy is happening. We don't want even to call it any waste. I even believe that we are even not taking advantage of the waste that we have. We are wasting the waste because this is raw material which must be utilized well. Apart from energy, we're going to get compost, and that will reduce our importation of fertilizer. And so again, we are in exciting times and be part of it. The policies are there. We only have to make Ghanaians should know that they are part of this process. That don't litter indiscriminately. Segregate your waste, as much as possible from the home. Put plastic somewhere, organic material somewhere, and then the waste disposal collection agencies can also segregate the waste, and then from the home throughout to the factory level, we'll be able to either recycle the waste or to process the waste into energy or into compost.
Taking a stand to speak during a panel discussion, CEO of the Ghana Investment Promotion Council, Siyofi Grant, stated his recommendation to government is to resource the venture capital fund to support agriculture and technology startups.
Are not there to necessarily support small companies or anybody. They are there to make money. Banks are not there to support people. They are there to make money. It's a business. People invest in banks. They want their money back. So the banks look at companies that are already making money and support them because that is a sure guarantee. Now, what about the startup companies? Who is there to support the startup companies? And my supposition and my recommendation to this government is to actually resource the government venture capital fund to look at some of these nascent companies, especially in the technology space. And the reason why it's important, not just technology, but agric, because those two sectors are almost going to be the bedrock of the transformation of Ghana. Because food security is national security. And currently Ghana is importing $2.2 billion worth of food. Why can't the $2.2 billion be invested inwards to grow our agricultural base? Then we don't have to rely on anybody giving you rice or maize or whatever it is.
Now, one of the major announcements we've been anticipating from the presidency in the last few days is who is going to be the next Chief Justice of the Republic of Ghana. We're going over to the presidency right now, where a major cabinet meeting has just ended, and we have our presidential correspondent, Elton Brobe. He's standing by to bring us what he can from that meeting. Hello, Elton.
Yes, hi, Israel.
All right, so do we have that major announcement coming out of the meeting?
Well, that is what we've been told, that tomorrow at 12:30, the president himself will make a major announcement tomorrow. But as to the subject matter that he'll be talking about, it is not so clear. My information is that the issue of who succeeds the outgoing Chief Justice was discussed at that particular meeting. Our sources, people I've been speaking to at that meeting, told me that there appears to be a settlement on Sophia Akufu to succeed Georgina Theodora Road when her term of office expires on the 8th of June. And processes to forward that name to the Council of State for them to study and report back to the president is already underway. Without any last-minute hitch, we may be told tomorrow at this, major announcement, which I'm taking sources that it may relate to the choice of a Chief Justice, and that will happen at 12:30 already. The president has just 3 events tomorrow. First one is a call on him by the Angolan ambassador to Ghana, and then this major announcement, and another call on him by the new MD of Standard Chartered Bank. So we are waiting to get. I have actually been speaking to the Director of Communication. He will not confirm that the announcement relates to the choice of a CJ, but he tells me that it is something that is already in the public domain, and we are likely to hear the president speak to it tomorrow. So we are all waiting to hear what the president will say, and most likely it will center on his choice for the position of Chief Justice.
All right, thank you very much, Elton Brobe, bringing us that update from the presidency. But still having to do with who's going to be the next Chief Justice of the Republic of Ghana. Well, we've been speaking to a number of people, and that also includes the former Commissioner of the Human Rights and Administrative Justice, Justice Emil Short. And he's been speaking, well, he doesn't say categorically who he wants to be Chief Justice, but he looks at the 3 who are in contention and makes an assessment on all of them.
All of these 3 judges are very competent. They have been on the bench for very long and have no blemish whatsoever, But Justice Doche commands the respect of the judiciary as well as the bar. If you talk to some lawyers, they will tell you that he has a very pleasant disposition, and I think in terms of among the legal fraternity, Justice Doche is the preferred candidate, The other factor that might work in his favor is his ethnicity.
Which is controversial, isn't it?
Well, in our politics, the ethnicity always comes into play.
But this is judiciary.
Whether you're being considered for appointment to stand election as a president or vice president or speaker, it comes into play. And I think the Constitution even recognizes some kind of regional balance in the appointments we make.
Well, the entire interview is coming up on PM Express, which comes up right after Joy News Prime. That's in about an hour. The Ghana National Canoe Fishermen Council has thrown its weight behind government in the fight against illegal fishing practices in the country. The council announced this decision at a news conference in Accra Thursday. This comes after some misconduct by their members in Ada over the weekend. The group, numbering about 100, dismantled canopies and held insult at the Fisheries Minister Elizabeth Afolekwe and entourage, who were in the town to inaugurate a task force to deal with the matter. The council Thursday rendered an unqualified apology to government, the Fisheries Minister and the people of Ghana, urging the media, religious groups and civil society to help in the campaign against light fishing.
The fisheries industry will never recover if these illegalities are allowed to persist. The introduction of the Fishermen Watch Volunteer is a laudable step that cannot be allowed to be killed by any selfish fisherman. It is also one of the important recovery measures that can spur the country's economic growth, food security, and poverty reduction. We condemn unreservedly the riotous opposition to the Fish Watch Volunteer by those fisher folks from various parts of the country congregating at Adan area who think they cannot survive without light fishing. On behalf of the Ghana National Fishermen Council, Greater Accra, we wish to sincerely apologize to the Honorable Minister and his entourage for the behavior of some of our fisher folks when she visited to inaugurate the watch volunteers. We want to reassure the people of Ghana and all fish consumers that we chief fishermen will do everything in our powers to make sure that we provide quality fish and not put lives into jeopardy by any self-seeking fisherman.
Well, the council has dismissed suggestions that members of the task force are hooligans and armed with offensive weapons.
The light fishing works. You see, they carve a small canoe and put in a generator and some lights. And then they put the children in that boat, mounting the canoe. With the turbulence, you cannot. So all volunteers are fishermen who have volunteered to do the work. And like I said, we don't arm them with any deadly weapons. Hence, there are no casualties on the seizures that we made. So that's it.
The next question, you call your name. The question will come from.
My name is.
It appears Assembly members in the various assemblies in the Upper West region are bent on overwhelmingly endorsing all nominees of the President for MDC. Out of the 11 persons nominated by President Akufo-Addo, 8 of them have obtained 100% endorsement. The latest, the Wild West District Assembly endorsed 38-year-old teacher Labiri Edward Sobo. Upper West Regional Correspondent Rafik Silan reports from Wechao.
40 assembly members took part in the election to confirm the president's nominee, Labiri Edward Sobo. He is 38-year-old teacher with Lasie Tolu Senior High School. The election was conducted by the Wild West District Electoral Officer, Pamela Kabu. At the close of polls, all the 40 members of the assembly voted yes to give 100% endorsement to the nominee. He was quickly sworn into office by Upper West Regional Minister Suleiman Al-Hassan. Labiri Edward Sobo, a former district coordinator of the National Youth Employment Program, thanked the president for his nomination and the assembly members for the confirmation and promised to work in the supreme interest of the district.
I will not be able to say much today, but to thank God for the showers of blessings. I thank the president for identifying me as a material for appointment to head the district. I know that so many people have contributed to the success of this occasion, and I owe them thanks. I will not say much, but to thank everybody for today's event, and to say that I will work in the supreme interest of the development of the Wild West District.
The Ghana Poverty Mapping of 2013 ranked the Wild West District as the poorest in the Upper West region. The report pegged the poverty incidence in the district at 92.4%, while that of the poverty depth was 59%. The report had already given the assembly members a clue in the direction they want the new DCE to gravitate towards.
In fact, the challenges we have here is mostly of agricultural base, because the district is mostly made of farmers. And you know, farming comes with a lot of activities and challenges. We need things like improved seeds, improved seedlings for crop varieties, and we also want the availability of fertilizer and any other agri inputs that will help us to do our development and our livelihoods very well. That is what we need.
We have seen that when you get back to the schools, you find some of the children sitting under trees. Then the teachers too, when they go to school, they don't have places to stay, that is teacher accommodation, or like him to tackle that. Then again, we don't have adequate teaching learning materials in the schools.
Reporting for Joy News, Rafik Salam, Wuchao.
The National Blood Transfusion Service is adopting new technology that should make donated blood a lot safer before being transfused to a recipient. Mirasol, as it is called, will be an improvement over the current technology, which is unable to ensure the thorough purification of blood, thereby allowing some parasites through. It has been introduced with the support of two Japanese agencies, JICA and Terumo, and is expected to be in full use from June this year. The Konfanochi Teaching Hospital and Kolebu Teaching Hospital blood banks, according to Terumo, will be the first in Africa to have the technology. Hanodame has more.
Globally, mothers in labor and children are those mostly in need of blood transfusion. However, the quest to save such lives through blood donation sometimes worsens the plight of the patient who is in need of the blood. The technology by JICA and Terumo will reduce the malaria parasite resistance, making it inactive by 87%.
We add a vitamin B, which called riboflavin, to the blood, and this acts with ultraviolet light to clean the blood. What it does, it stops the parasites, the malaria parasite, from being able to replicate in the blood, which this is how it stops the transmission of the disease through a blood transfusion.
The rollout of the technology has been possible through a $500,000 funding from the two Japanese agencies. Chief Executive Officer of the National Blood Service, Dr. Justina Ansa, says they are seeking support from other partners to ensure the initiative is sustained.
We have sat down with all the collaborating partners to ensure that we put together a plan to ensure that, because it's as you know, most of the time we start things and we cannot continue, but we have to make sure that we actually work things out. So that has been done. Speaking at the event, Health Minister Kweku Adjumameni revealed his office will adequately equip the blood service to facilitate their efficiency.
The Ministry of Health duly recognizes the efforts of the National Blood Service, Ghana, in ensuring regular blood supply all year round, despite her limited resources. And I wish to assure you that the ministry will support all healthy partnerships to ensure that the service is adequately resourced with the requisite personnel and logistics so as to ensure efficiency in their service delivery.
For Joy News, my name is Hannah Odami.
The La Police is investigating the death of a 30-year-old woman allegedly butchered by her husband, who is on the run. The distraught family of the murdered woman is calling on the police to arrest a prime suspect, her husband, to face the law.
The body had already been taken away by the police at the time the news team arrived. Relatives of the murdered 30-year-old were gathered trying to come to terms with what has befallen them. A relative, Jan Martinson, narrated the sad story to Joy News.
Yeah, I think at about 11:25 thereabout, I've got a seaman friend who came to eat here. And he called me that he's around here. If possible, I can come and see him because we had a job doing at the Presex Secondary School. And so on my way coming, that's when I heard a noise here. And it wasn't much of Egbemi, but Ngengmeye, you see, the Egbemi comes very faint. Though I went closer, later I got to the opposite side here to tell the owner of the room sister that your brother is fighting with the wife. And so if possible, you could go there and then settle them.
Gory images of the butchered woman were recorded on the phones of witnesses who arrived at the scene before the body was conveyed to the police hospital morgue for autopsy. Blood-soaked clothes of the victim were also found at the scene of the gory incident. Now on Yokora J's report for Joy News.
Right, and thank you very much for watching. My name is Israel. Have a good night.
This is Joy News Prime.